back. A few announcements before we get started. We are again partnering with CANTRELL Holdings for this episode. They have shared with us that they are still making trips this week and next week to some of the affected areas from Hurricane Helene. I'm going to attach to this episode some of our interview from last week with Isabella and Logan Cantrell. Some of it's going to be edited, so that way it's relative to what's going forward and not just to last week. But it's still a great overview of what they're doing and also some of the stuff that they still need. We are also going to throw their Venmo down here again for anyone that wants to make a donation. $1 to $5 makes a big difference if it's community pitching in, and all of that will go to just supplies and stuff that they're buying to take to some of these areas. And we'll also have this Venmo down here attached for the clip with CANTRELL Holdings to begin. Also, just big props to them for what they're doing and what they've done, along with many others in the area. We mentioned that last week. There's a lot of great people in the area that have just went above and beyond to help. Also, big props to you guys. Everything that you did last week with the donations or just going to the drop-off points to take supplies, thank you guys. And also thank you for sharing the episode last week that helped it get to more people and I think gave more opportunities for people to pitch in and help. I also wanted to address me not being here last week. I had a family medical emergency that came up last minute. I think it was like 30 minutes before the episode was to record. So sorry about that. But I want to thank everybody for their thoughts and prayers, and especially from those guests last week, from the kind words and all the prayers from them, the messages they sent, and our fellow podcasts around here that have been checking in daily. Some great people around here, specifically Tailgate Talk with the boys. They've been checking in pretty frequent, and I just wanted to send a huge thanks to you guys for everybody that's checked in. I greatly appreciate that. Big shout out as well to my partner, Jamar, last week. He took on that episode and went solo. Did an amazing job. Really enjoyed that one. The interviews were great. Keldon Hamilton, as well as Dayton Stanley from Eastside. Terrific interview there. As well as the preview picks for the game last week with Parker Bandy and Coach Wade, P. Wade from Castlewood. They both stepped up huge and helped us out. They did a great job. So definitely, if you haven't watched that episode, go back and check it out. Really enjoyed watching that. Few things here, though. These are just more announcements going forward. I just wanted to kind of touch base on some of that other stuff, but some announcements going forward. Life Church in Cedar Bluff, Virginia, centered at the Claypool Hill Mall. They are partnering with Cedar Bluff Community Church, and on Saturday, October 26th, from 1 to 3 p.m., they will be doing their 10th annual trunk or treat. And this is a great event. I didn't get a chance to make it before, but from everything that I've heard, they usually average from 500 to 1,000 kids. So definitely bring your kids out there, get some candy, enjoy just a great community there within that environment. Make sure you enter through the main mall entrance, and they'll have candy stations set up all the way through. Invite somebody to join you. Like I said, take your kids. Go as a big group. It's going to be fun. So definitely make it down there to that. And I also think this Sunday at Life Church, I think after the service, they're having a spaghetti dinner for a travel baseball team or softball team. I don't know all the details on that right off the top of my head, but definitely show up there Sunday, enjoy a great service, and either way, it's going to be spaghetti afterwards. Come eat some of that, and they're accepting donations to help with travel ball. So I also want to talk about merch. So we have talked about releasing more merch. Jamar had done a great job last year with some of these hats, and we've had people ask us, several times, is this something we're going to do going forward? And we would like to do it. We have, went through different stuff online to where we could probably do it. and design something online, sell it through there. It might be easier, but we want to partner with somebody in Southwest Virginia. So we're not sure yet what kind of approach we're going to take. If we're going to try to do teams, I think there might be a lot of hurdles and obstacles there. But I do know that we had spoke on highlighting some counties, or maybe even have like a district pride type of line of stuff, clothing, hats. At the very least, some hats. For example, they might have something like the BDD or HOGO. Just of course, we're brainstorming ideas and we're open to other ideas. But we would like to try to get some merch out. Everybody's been asking. Again, any business out there that you guys know, or any business that's watching this, we would like to partner up with you, and we'll discuss going forward what we're going to do there. So, speaking of businesses, for me personally, I had mentioned this on my personal account on Facebook about starting up a barbecue catering business. I've had many people tell me I should do this, and I've been kind of hesitant because I don't think that I'm that good. And it is a lot of fun, but you just never know about actually going out there with it. I have done some birthday parties, showers, some weddings, but I think I'm ready to take that next step and try to get myself out there a little bit. So my business is going to be called Hog 30 Barbecue. Right now I'm just now getting started, so my menu's not going to be huge. I'm just going to focus on some main core things that I can make in bulk and hopefully make good enough to serve out there. I'm going to try to type out a menu, and I'll put it on the Facebook page that I'm going to create and attach to this. Like I said, I can go ahead and say that we will definitely be doing like pulled pork and smoking pork butts. I have done a wedding before where I've smoked 8 pork butts, so I can do it, I feel like. But I just want to put this, because I want to put it out there while I have the platform, and I'm sure even some of the money that I get in doing this business, some of it will also help with this podcast, having just a little bit of extra cash. But right now I am kind of aiming for small gatherings, birthday parties, small weddings, showers, or even if some of these schools, you all want to feed your players for a game or maybe as an event coming up. It doesn't have to be just in football season, but basketball or going in the spring sports. It could be a banquet. It could be anything like that. I'm open to that. I think that would be a great opportunity for me to just get to meet some of you guys and, do something for a good cause. Pricing will be discussed in private through, the page messenger, through the Hog 30 page, or texting my number, which will be attached to the page. Just one thing I want to put out there, in related to our podcast and stuff going forward. We put it out on Facebook. We're looking to do a new segment in the coming weeks centered around a weekly story. This story will be narrated in a 5-minute slot. It's not going to be long, but I think it'll be very effective in the time that it's there. We would love to have you guys send us some stories. So what we mean by that is we want something highlighting a moment or a play in a game that was historical. It could be an old wives' tale or a local legend surrounding a school or a team, or even just an incredible story of an individual player or coach. Could even be funny, but I think we're really looking for something that's just a great story to share, build some suspense, and maybe some triumph over some obstacles. It could be different things, and I think we're very open to that. We got somebody that's going to try to narrate those for us. Something, I'm very excited about that. But that's all for the announcements. I did want to kind of let you know the schedule of the show before it gets started, because we do have a lot in this episode, a lot packed into it, and we're very blessed for all the guests that took the time to come on. We had some technical difficulties throughout, just getting started with some interviews, but that happens with technology, and I'm very thankful for the patience of the guests to get everything connected and, for us to get this out there for you guys. So first off, you will see a clip again of CANTRELL Holdings explaining their hurricane relief efforts. After that, you'll have an interview with the new Southern Gap Eagles head coach, Greg Tester. Southern Gap is the Buchanan County Consolidated School that should be up and running, I think, in 2026, as was mentioned. But they did announce the coaching hires a few weeks ago, so I think this is one of the first times that Coach Tester has been on to talk or been on anything to talk about that. So we're very thankful that he took the time to do that with us. After that, it's an interview with probably one of the best coaches in the whole state. I know that me and Jamar have been wanting to have him on for quite a while. And so we were very lucky to have Coach Tony Palmer from Graham High School on for an interview. A great interview. Our player interview will be after that. And we'll have BRYNNEN Pendergrapht, quarterback from Lehigh. Great quarterback. Very fun to watch. Great kid. It's an absolutely amazing interview with him, and we had a lot of fun with it. We'll finish up our Week 8 preview and picks, joined by our guest picker. We've been doing this guest picking thing starting last week, and I think we're going to continue doing it a few times going forward. But we had EASTSIDE'S Mock Dockery making his second appearance on the show. He's going to be on here making picks with us. So thank you guys again for all the support. Please hit the share button down here. Get this out to as many people as possible. Of course, we're thankful for that. I think it's nice to see the coaches getting some, attention, but also, and maybe more importantly, the players getting out there and you guys getting to know some of these great athletes and kids that we got in Southwest Virginia. So I guess that's it. Sorry for taking up so much time, but we hope you enjoy the episode. Thank you.
We got the owners of CANTRELL Holdings Incorporated, been an Easy CANTRELL, friends of ours, and they are going to give y'all a little info about donating and where you can send money, send supplies. Them take it away.
Hey guys, thanks for giving us a chance to come on here and kind of spread some awareness tonight. So we will be going into Western North Carolina. It kind of started as just like a spitball idea between us and our sister company, Cantrell Services, which is the hot shot corporate side of things. They do commercial hot shotting, and it's my in-laws, his mom and dad. So it just kind of started as a text message, and then it turned into this whole community endeavor. So we will be going into Western North Carolina to deliver supplies that the community's been collecting. We received a ton of monetary donations, and we could not be more thankful because the needs just continue to evolve. We've been in touch with several small satellite towns that are very similar to what you would see in our communities. A couple of those are Newland, North Carolina, Marion, North Carolina, and Morganton, North Carolina, that are still pretty desperate in need of supplies. We've also been talking to some places like Spruce Pine, North Carolina, that you've probably seen more about on Facebook, or even Black Mountain, North Carolina, which is right outside of Swinoa, that are needing some kind of boots on the ground help with distribution centers or food deliveries and things like that. So not only are we going to be taking these supplies into these communities, but we're going to be doing some helping hand type work as well.
All along with Tyler and Shannon and them and Rocky. Quick, y'all got stuff together quick, jumped right in, got things rolling. One thing I wanted to point out that's happened since that I thought was crazy, because I knew they'd get a lot of donations, but I didn't know you get that many on the coats. And that was kind of an overnight thing. It seemed like, if y'all want to shout anybody out, like I said, Rocky's thing, or anybody else that's helped along the way, y'all have been there more, the buildings and stuff. I've seen y'all tagged in a bunch of different things with other people. If you want to get some shout outs to anybody or any groups.
Yeah, so the coach was all Rock Stars Health and Fitness in Claypool Hill. They had their grand opening slated the week that the hurricane hit. So if you haven't went and checked it out yet, it's awesome. Logan went and took a cold plunge dip today and sat in the sauna. He's not whined near as much about his legs hurting.
It got me right.
Let me, I don't want to, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. What did you have the temperature of the cold plunge on? I'm curious.
Like 45, I think is what he said it was.
Okay, that's not bad. I figured you'd stay in the 50s. It's not 30s. It's not Rogan temperature, but it's not bad.
No, I mean, I'm not built like that.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Izzy. Back to the important stuff.
Anyway. Yeah, so like that was all Rocky and McKinley, the coats. We just pitched in and helped where we could, but we ended up collecting over like 2,500 coats. Like it was a crazy amount of coats. We could not have asked for more. But yeah, we've partnered with some amazing people that have just volunteered and stepped up in our community, including rock stars. Oasis, with Kathy Acosta and the crew there, they have been phenomenal. Had a huge heart for it because, of course, she's a fellow Whitewoodian, or whatever you want to call yourself down there. So, she had a huge heart for it. They were wonderful to work with. Richlands Pharmacy has been great. Pizza Hut of Grundy has been our Buchanan County donation hub. The Bleaching Mama, the shirts that you saw going around, part of the proceeds has come to fund this mission. We couldn't be more thankful for that. The Richlands Football Club partnered with City on a Hill and Life Church and collected donations at their varsity football game and gave us a huge monetary donation. And we could not be more thankful for that. Tazewell Family Worship Center has been so gracious, and they've donated pallets of water from Lowe's in Bluefield. Randy and Michelle Honaker were super appreciative. And then just numerous community members. Like, I could not keep a list of just the individuals in the community that have stepped up and dropped off donations, dropped off money. The community has poured so much heart and soul into this, from Russell to Buchanan to Tazewell County. Pioneer Counseling Center, my home office in Lebanon, has acted as our Russell County drop site, and a bunch of the therapists I work with. We could just not say thank you enough for making this quick text dream a reality to help out these people in North Carolina that could have so easily been us here in the Appalachian Mountains.
Anything specifically you want to try to get out that you'll need before?
Yeah, so the more that we touch base with most of these hubs that are set up in North Carolina, several of them have received enough of the supplies as far as water and those initial onset things you want to get to somebody in the middle of a flood relief situation, but are still in desperate need of things like batteries, flashlights, cook stoves. Heating and lighting is just a huge hurdle right now because most of these communities aren't projected to have power back for weeks or months on end. So if you haven't donated yet and you want to, please run by Rockstars Health and Fitness in Claypool Hill. They're in the urgent care plaza up there, and drop off batteries or flashlights or headlamps, anything cooking, heating, lighting related would be wonderful, or empty gas carriers. And we will fill those up as we go in, and they'll get to keep the carrier as well.
I think it's great. Small towns like this can come together and help each other out. And like I said, we appreciate y'all doing what y'all do, and all the groups and people you named off. Time, energy, just if nothing else, just the energy it takes to get stuff together, or all that is all very important. So, like I said, Rocky and all them people, and we'll keep shouting out every time we get a chance to. Every time I get a list, I'll add to it, and we'll give them a shout out best we can. CANTRELL.
I'll just say real quick, you already mentioned it, but shout out to Tyler and Paula and Shannon, Kelly Joe, and then I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people that I've missed, but I also know that Justin Holmes took a trailer down.
Yeah.
And Birdie Mullins took a horse trailer down. So just shout out to y'all, man. And Luke and Logan too.
Yeah.
They've had some connections with the helicopter, I believe.
Yeah, they're helping from a distance. I mean, they they're from here, moved to North Carolina, but I think both living in Texas now, I think, and so they're helping from afar. But yeah, people like that, man. I mean, just you can't beat people like that. That always remember where they came from, and I think it's just something about being small towns and Appalachia that just it's people that you relate with. So it's everybody's definitely can feel that, know where those people are coming from. So, but that's all we got. Oh, I guess we're going to get your all's. I guess Cameron's going to post y'all's Venmo or whatever contact stuff when we look for that. If you want to donate that way, can't do it like that. Just whatever you can, bring by the places Ed. And appreciate it. Appreciate y'all coming on and what you've done. And we'll see you all.
Yep. Right.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Porch Talk. This is episode 35. We're going to start this episode off with a interview of former Hurley head coach, football head coach, just named a few weeks ago the head coach of the new Buchanan County Consolidated School, the Southern Gap Eagles, Mr. Greg Tester. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you guys for having me. Glad to be here.
Congratulations, first off, on the the job. Just wanted to go ahead and say that. What are your initial thoughts, just early on here?
Well, first of all, I'm excited, honored, and fortunate to get the job, and grateful for the job. Just I know we got a lot of work to do. So, but anyway, just been able to get the new consolidated program and try to get it up on its feet. And I think it's a big responsibility, but also it's an incredible chance to build something special. I think to be able to shape the program's identity from the ground up and start from scratch is really important. And getting the right people on board and doing the right things and trying to get it off to a good start. And, and I know we got to get going pretty quick here it's supposed to be opening in 2026. So, like I said, we got some work to do and we got to be, out in these schools and kind of seeing what's going on right now and what we can do to improve.
And, I know that most of the listeners from at least the Buchanan County area is going to know who you are. But for those of the people that don't know who you are, just a very brief description, just your time as a coach, maybe just where you coached at. And I know that we had a whole episode with you last year, so if anybody really wants to go in depth with your career and where you've been and stuff, then go check it out. But just something brief.
All right, I started my coaching career, I think, I was playing arena football around 2003, 4. I think I came back to Hurley as my old football coach, Wayne Hall, he was the head coach at the time, and he asked me to come back and help during that time. I think it was 2003 was the first year as an assistant. I think I was an assistant from 2003 to 2005. He resigned in 2006, and I got the job from 2006 to 2017, which was 11 years running the program here. Got to be a part of a lot of good teams, a lot of good athletes, great people, great coaches. So, and just fortunate to be a part of that program for 11 years. And I also had 3 years at Y Central High School. My son played over there, I think, 9 through 21. So I went over there as an assistant and assisted Coach Luke Owens. He was the head coach during that time. And we had a pretty good run over there from 19 to 21. So, and right now I'm back in coaching my youngest son. He's at the middle school level. They played both this year. They played the youth level and the middle school level. So we're still in season with that right now. So that's where we're at right now.
You mentioned, school's not opening up this upcoming season, but after that. So I don't know what limitations you'll have, before the school opens, but are you going to be able to get the players together for some 7-on-7s and stuff like that? Or is it just waiting until that off season prior to the season starting?
Well, I think we could reach out and do some things. I don't know about, I think 2025 will be the last year of all the county schools. So I don't really think you can do anything formally till, they complete their school. And I think that's important for them to complete their final year at that school and, let them have that time. But, like I said, we can be out in the schools talking to them, looking and see who's coming up. I guess you can look at our classes, and I've talked to several people and I've reached out to a couple coaches so far, not all of them, but just on what we need to do and how we need to get things going. And just trying to evaluate some of that from 10th grade back, maybe your 8th grade to 10th grade class and kind of see what we have coming and give us some ideas. And, something I think we got to really do is emphasize the middle school youth level. I think maybe the next year we're thinking about next year trying to get the middle school team combined, with all three teams. That's something we're going to try the next year. I've talked to Mr. Cooper and Mr. Stevens and reached out to a couple people. So that's what we're aiming toward right now is to get this middle school team together next year and get them to start playing and maybe start playing in the Southwest District and try to get all those teams scheduled. But then, just kind of evaluating what we got from 10th grade down. And I think the youth levels is pretty important. Also, I don't know what the future holds as far as getting those guys together. But next year, I think we're going to start with the middle school level and try to get these guys playing together starting next year.
I know you can't predict the future. What are some maybe some obstacles that you kind of maybe foresee in the first year of the school and that you maybe thought about and maybe already planning for?
Well, I think first thing you got to do, you got to establish the culture. And, I think that's critical in school consolidation. And I think, you got to be able to take a piece of culture from Twin Valley, a piece of culture from Hurley, Grundy, unite those and get people on board and, just understanding the process. It's a process, not an event. Those first couple years, like I said, it's going to be a process, and jumping straight into that Southwest district, it's not going to be easy. So I think that's why it's important that we said we start at the youth and middle school levels and start establishing a culture there. Get the people we want in place, get the coaches we want in place, and like I said, we're going to hit some lumps. I think it's not perfect for anybody. Going forward here, I think the Hurley people, the Twin Valley people, we all got something we're not happy with or we can complain about. But I think it's important to put that behind us, put your front foot forward and just see what we can do to help things and go forward from there and just unite and become one. And I know, it's hard giving up that Hurley. I bleed red and blue, and it's tough for me. I owe a lot. This school, this community, it's been an integral part of my life, and that's tough. But I think as all three communities, maybe four combined, we got to put our best foot forward and what's best from there ahead. So.
A great answer. And this is more of a fun question. And I don't know if you gave this any thought or not, but any sort of thought on uniform design or any traditions you might bring with you? I know that Coach Deal said that he would like I think it was the Colorado maybe scheme, I think, if I remember right, Jay Moore. So yeah, any idea on that?
Man, it really don't matter to me, to be honest. I'm not a fan of the gold, like the black, white, whatever, but it doesn't matter to me what we wear. It matters more about the product we put on the field than the uniform. And I think that's what matters most, like I said. But I'm not a big gold fan. It's not a grunty thing. I was always solid black, white, navy type of guy. So no twin fist. I'm not a purple guy.
I'm not either.
Okay.
I hate it. I graduated from there, and I was never a fan of the purple. And we could have done it a little better, maybe like Kansas State ish. But when I was there, it was nothing like that. It was bright purple, and I hated it. But the next question was, I don't know if if you're even really able to do this yet, or even if you have thought about it, if you can share it with us. But if you can, have you got anything lined up as far as coaching staff, who's going to be on it and stuff like that?
Not full staff yet. Maybe I'll get to that here in a few weeks. I'm talking to several people right now, but nothing for sure. So I don't really want to throw no names out there right now. Everybody knows me. Knows me and Coach Davis. Here at Hurley go way back. Right now, he's really the only one I've reached out to and talked to. But I'm a guy like, you got to surround yourself with good people. And this is something I'm going to be careful with and make sure I got the right people on board. And I'm sure we'll have coaches that's involved from all three schools, no doubt. So, but like I said, it's something that Coach Davis will probably be. He'll probably be my number one right now, depending on his situations. But like I said, when it gets to staff and, when I get into further details, I'll see what he thinks, who he likes, and we'll kind of put our two heads together and go from there. So, but right now, nothing solid. But like I said, I've reached out to a few guys, but still working on it. But anyway, I think that's crucial. I think, as far as you're looking at, you're as good as who you got around you, man. And I think your assistant coaches is vital in a program. I'm talking about from middle school, JV, varsity, all three levels. And I think one of the most important levels we're going to have is the middle school level. So, and we got some good groups coming up at that level. And I think it's vital that they're in good hands. So, like I said, we're working on that, and we'll be probably deciding that next few weeks, months, whatever. So, but I got an idea.
Yeah. And before you go to your next one, I had just a little bit of a follow up on that one. You probably have to walk like a fine line. You kind of mentioned it, the right people, not necessarily, and this is not like particularly in your situation here or the county, but for just any situation, to suffice people with hiring from this school, and this school might not be the best options you have available. So I don't envy you having to, walk that tightrope of making people, kind of happy just for a bit. But yeah, you got a tough job there, I feel like.
I want all schools to be involved. I do. And I think, there's quality people at each school that can be involved. Some of them might be old school. Some of them might be no longer there, used to be there. But a lot of people that knows me, they probably know, you know, who I got on my staff and who I'm going with. But like I said, there's right now I've talked with, like I said, Coach Davis. He's my defensive coordinator for years. All 11 years at Hurley, and I think he does a tremendous job. And he's also a tremendous weight room guy. And I think I'll start with him, and we'll go from there and see. I'll take his advice, who he wants defensively, who he's worked with defensively, who I like offensively, and who we've worked with over the years, and I just try to put the right people in the best places, man. So, and that's all we can do. But like I said, I think there's quality people at each school and I think there will be people from each school on the staff. So,
speaking of offense and defense, or at least offense anyway, more of an X's and O's question. Do you plan on bringing the same style of offense that you had when you coached at Hurley, or any wrinkles in there, or has they had any thought to that yet?
I think first and foremost, we got to see what kind of personnel we have. It depends on the personnel and what kind of personnel we have. We may not have the personnel that I like to run, my traditional offense. So, I guess that it really depends on the talent, but, I think I want to build it around the defense. I think, no matter, my philosophy is defense wins championships, offense sells tickets. I want to be balanced, but I think, I want to build around the defense. And, I just think with, how games have played out, and, you got to be able to run the football. If you want to win in December, you want to win in January, and that don't mean I'm not going to throw the ball. So, a lot of people think, know my style. I'm a wing T guy, but it's not necessarily that I'm going to stick with, we can spread it in the wing T. We can be under center in the wing T, but, if I don't have the personnel for it, I might not be running it. There's a couple of years at Hurley, I went to the spread. So it basically just depends on what we got. But, as far as scheme wise, we'll definitely be a gap scheme. We'll definitely be a gap scheme offense. We want to be physical. We want to bring a physical brand, like I said, and I want to build it around I want to build our offense around our defense, if that makes sense to you. I think defense is first, and I think that's where we start at. So, but, I think you got to take the identity of Buchanan County. You go back to the old Garden days, some tough, gritty, hard-nosed people back at Garden, Twin Valley. You take you can go back to the 90s and the 80s of the Hurley teams. And I think you got to take an identity from each school. And, if you take one piece of that, I think, what you'll get out of that is toughness. And I think you got to bring a lot of grit, a lot of toughness. And I think that's what each of these communities bring. You look at that, the identity of Buchanan County, and, it's toughness, it's grit, it's hardworking, blue-collar people. And that's kind of what we want to establish. We want to establish that culture at the new school, especially with football, and like I said, and I think that's what each community brings to the table.
I'm not sure how any of this works as far as the building of the new school, but will you, or, coaching staff, or however that works, will you all have any say in kind of the design of the layout of the bleachers or field house, stuff like that?
We have been in meetings, me and the principals, me and Mr. Cooper and Chad have been in meetings, I think, with Superintendent Ms. Shurry and some of the other design people. It's over the design. I think Curtis Elswick's over it. So we have input, yes, in some of the design. It's definitely with the athletic facilities. We've been meeting with I think Tim Burgess, or Tim, I think it's his name. He's the project manager, and Curtis Elswick is I think he's over the design. So we've been having weekly meetings with them over the design of the school. So, yeah, they are involving the principals and some of the ADs in this, and the board members.
That's good. I was kind of worried about that. I didn't know how that worked, because, who's better to tell them what they want, or what the school would want, other than the coaches and, the people who are connected to it. So I was hoping you all would have a lot of say and input in that.
I know the principals have been involved so far. I don't know how much about the coaches, but I know the principals have been involved, and the ADs. And it's been weekly, so I think they act like they're still aiming for 2026, and they're working 24 hours. So we got to be ready to go in 2026 of fall. And I know it's coming fast. So there's a lot of moving parts that we gotta we got to figure out.
The only thing that we ask is we get a good backdrop at the stadium of the scenery, because you see all these college football stadiums and all that beautiful scenery, and I know that up there, they have the opportunity to do it.
Right. I know we've been in some meetings on the the layout of the field, the scoreboards and stuff like that. So, but they're working weekly on. I mean, we've been in a couple meetings a week. So, but yeah, I think it's going pretty quick.
We don't have much left before we get you out of here. I have another one, J. Moore, because I got one more.
It's not so much a question as it is just I guess, wish you will. But I know a lot of times in these, consolidations that we've seen around the area, the first coaches into these, programs generally have the hardest job. It seems to go better for the ones that come after. There's always the transition. I think you're, as far as I'm concerned, I think you're the right guy for the job. And I hope that's not the case here. I hope y'all hit the ground running, and wish you all success from the start. We'll be there, obviously, following along. So again, I just want to say congratulations and good luck, and we can't wait to see what y'all do.
I appreciate it. Like I said, that's the reason we're trying to get going now and get our staff together and get this middle school program together and try to hit the ground running, so they kind of know what we're about. And, I've even talked to some of the guys I'm trying to get on staff to help coach the middle school team next year. So they'll already know what's about, and we can, like I said, it won't be something new and we have to install. We can kind of hit the ground running, but some of those sophomores and ninth graders right now, we may have to wait a minute on them, but we can go ahead and get our middle school program on, get it up and running.
Yeah. And I just want to echo kind of what J. Moore said, talk with everybody's like, okay, who's going to get it? Who do you think should get it? And, you was always top name for us. And I think culture-wise, I think you're the best one to do it. And that's not selling anybody else short. There's a lot of great coaches in the county. But just culture-wise, I think you're great to get it started there. I think you could just Grundy a few weeks ago playing with Tazewell, and schools weren't consolidated yet. So I think people kind of underestimate the talent that we have even right now. But with that being said, I just want to, again, congratulate you, like J. Moore said. But I want to give you the opportunity to end this with just a final message to the fans about the school.
Yeah, man, just listen. I'm excited to get things going. I know it's not perfect for everybody, but hey, we got to put one foot forward and do what's best for Buchanan County. Everybody's not happy, but some people is, some people's not. But I think we put that behind us. We won, and let's get it together and let's go. Like I said, we can say it and we can whine, and it's a 45-minute drive for me also. But you know what? I got to do it. We're going to do it. And like I said, we just got to put our best foot forward and put our differences aside and, just unite and establish it. And let's go ahead and get this culture established and establish it as one. So.
Oh, also real quick, seen your post earlier, your son, he's bigger than you are, look like.
That's not saying a whole lot, man. But yeah, he's still grinding right now at UVA-wise. He's still playing linebacker, so he's got one more year after this year. He's a junior.
He's a
yeah. So, but like I said, size. He's probably, I say Tyson's about 5'9", but he's got me by about 2 inches, which still isn't very big. But like I said, the height wasn't really in our genes. So a lot of adversity he's got to overcome. So. But he's doing well.
Yep. Heck yeah. Well, again, we appreciate it, Coach. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. All righty. Again, yeah, we appreciate it, man.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
We're back here again, guys, with Graham's head coach, Tony Palmer. Coach Palmer has won 2 state titles as a Graham head coach. He's had 8 playoff appearances, 20 playoff wins, as well as 8 players sent to D1. Over 100 wins now. So thank you, Coach, for coming on. And as I mentioned before we got on, shout out to Fresh Off the Clock for helping us, make this happen. But what's up, Coach?
How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, doing great, man. Doing great. Coach, we're just going to start off just some standard questions. People, and I say people, I don't know who in this area don't know about you, but for those that don't know about you, just a very brief history about your coaching career.
Well, I was assistant coach under Doug Mars around, I guess it was 2006 to probably about 2009 or so. And then Mike Williams came in. I was an assistant under him for a while. And then I got the head coaching job in 2015.
I'm going to talk a little bit about this season. Before getting into this season, the off-season work that you all did. What and all did you all do this past off-season to get ready?
We're kind of creatures of habit. So we do the same thing every year. The last couple years, we played into December. So we always give the guys off, and then we'll start back at the beginning of the year. So in January, it's when we'll normally start our weightlifting. Even if we don't play in December, we try to give the guys a break, let their bodies rest. Because when we go, we go. So we'll be in there. We'll hit the weight room, do some conditioning, do the things that we've done that's been successful for us, building strength and a camaraderie between the guys that are working. So, to me, that's where the brotherhood is built during the hard work from the ground during the off season. And then we try to put what we've done into play when August rolls around.
Whatever habits y'all got are obviously very good habits. It's been a heck of a run here for as long as I can remember. I've probably been at Graham to watch more ball games than probably anywhere else. Watched more games there than anywhere else probably over the past, I guess, 7 or 8 years, whatever it's been. Talking about the work in the summer and all that stuff. As far as, strength and conditioning, I guess y'all got, is that just kind of a team effort y'all put into that? Y'all got like one guy, go over y'all stuff, or how's that work?
Well, we got a strength coach, strength coach. His name is Mike Horton. He's a power lifter around here. He's been with us since 2018. He's got good rapport with the kids. Kids love him. We've transformed a lot of our kids' bodies from the time that they were ninth graders to the time that their sophomore year, junior, senior. We see the change in what we're doing in their strength, their size, their confidence. It builds all kind of things for us during the off season. But we've got different levels, not levels, but steps that we go through during that off season to try to build up to get our bodies ready to go when the season comes. So we'll do a lot of our power stuff to build size and things like that, and we'll start changing our workouts to roll right into the season and give them more, injury preventative type stuff.
Talk a little bit about culture, and I think that your weightlifting, I'm sure, is going to play a big part in that. But how would you describe the culture that you have there, and then just some things you do to install that culture?
Well, with us, we were struggling at the time that I got the job, but I played for Glenn Carlock, and things that happened back then, you can't do that kind of stuff today. The way the coaching has changed and things have evolved over time. But I try to implement some of that old school mentality that they had back then into now to try to create a stronger culture for our guys. When I first got the job, I spoke with the guys. I told them we were no longer going to hope to win football games. We're going to expect to win football games because of the work we're going to put in to prepare for it. So, I've got this thing I go by, I call it the 5 Ps. And that's what I try to do as a coach. And that's what I want our kids to do. It's perfect preparation prevents poor performance. So we try to prepare to be successful. And with that, the guys get camaraderie. They look out for each other. We start trying to build this thing, and we become a family. And that when you're a tight knit group, you don't want to let the guys beside you down. You don't want to let your coaches down. As a coach, we don't want to let our players down. So it's kind of a family atmosphere, and I think it works for us.
Y'all kind of, speaking of culture, you've established that culture now there that's obviously a winning culture. I guess it's well known, region kind of runs through you all year in, year out. What is that like, managing those expectations coming into year after year? Maybe not getting, not looking ahead, but making sure that, you're looking at each game. Is that a hard thing year to year for you to get the players to, do that, knowing they're going to be good?
Well, we don't know we're going to be good, but we try to prepare like we're going to be good, and then we tell them, that you're not just playing for yourself. You're playing for the people that wore the G-Star before you did. So our kids, have the mentality, like I said, that they don't want to let the people that wore it down. They don't want to they don't want our community to be, torn up over the game. I want to have good people that leave my program to become good men, good family men, and, be outstanding people in the community. So I think all that plays a role into what we want out of our football program so they can carry it with them when they take the next step in life.
Great answer. I don't want to talk about necessarily every single game this season, but I do want to talk about some of the bigger ones, just very briefly. Game, I know that was a tough one. You all came out with a win there, probably maybe the best game all year in Southwest Virginia. And I know the Virginia High game had some ups and downs in it, and there was a lot of outside challenges outside of football. So just how has your team grown in those games this year?
Well, I think, we've shown some resiliency. Uh, like you said, it's hard. It's hard when you got things going on outside of football and school to prepare. When you got a hurricane, when nobody has power, we haven't been able to practice. Our kids have to go in. We have to take flashlights to go into school to get their uniforms and take them somewhere that does have power to wash them, bring them back. Then they can't even get dressed in their locker. So they might not have their cleats, might not have their gloves. There's always things missing that, but yet they still managed to get the job done. They knew what the goal was for that week. We set the goal that week, and we were going down there to try to play the best that we could. Just so happened we didn't play very well down there, and we were lucky to get out there for win by the way we was playing. So a lot of things in that game were self-inflicted. Stupid penalties. I don't think we coached our best game that game. There's a lot of things going on, and like I said, we were just lucky to get out there for win.
I was speaking of the Union game, as Cameron brought up, that second half was one of the best defensive, at least of the stat line that I've seen in a long time. And having such a good defense, for some, so I guess some keys or some things you've seen on film going into this week against what's been so far a pretty good offense in Lebanon. And what is your thoughts on what do y'all have to do to limit them?
I think we've got to play our brand of football. I think we have to impose our will on them and get them to play our brand of football. I think we need to be physical. I think we need to take care of the football, and I don't think that we don't need to make mental mistakes. So we can't help them beat us. So we just got to play our style of football the way we want to play it, and just try to execute the game plan.
And Gilmore mentioned Lebanon. I saw that the Bristol paper kind of threw out a little nugget there the other day. Said that they were 1-18 against you all, through the course of history. The only win was I think whenever you played. When you, I don't know if it was at Lebanon. Do you remember much about that game?
Yeah, they had a guy down there named Eric Buchanan. He was a very good running back. That year, they were really good. It was my junior year, and we played them tough down there that year, but they were the better football team that year. I think they I don't know if they were undefeated or not. I can't remember, but they were good. They were really good. And then I know that Lebanon has had some success when they went to single A. I think a Calvin kid played down there. I thought they were pretty good then. He was the quarterback. But I think, I don't know if they're 1-18 or not. I think that they may have beat us more than that, but I'm not sure. So I won't try to correct you on that. But I do know that I lost to them when I was a junior.
Yeah, that was a Bristol paper, so I'll blame them if I'm wrong. So, go ahead, Jamar.
Y'all play obviously a great schedule, getting into your final few games of the year. Well, I guess I'm not sure how to word it, but you go. I know obviously y'all go week to week. As a coach preparing, are you looking ahead teams just on film to maybe know what kind of like pre-scout some teams out east, and if so, who comes to mind that you might have to?
Well, I really try not to spend my time looking at other teams at this point. Like I said, our focus right now is on Lebanon, and we know that in order to get where we need to be, we need to take care of business when it comes to our district and the region, because those games, that decides whether you have home games or you're on the road. So, and we've taken the long road to get there before, but it's much nicer playing at home whenever you can. But no, I don't particularly watch other teams from other regions at this point. I watch C and D, but as far as A and B,
Yeah.
no, I don't watch it. I hear about it though.
I just have a few more questions for you, Coach. When we ask, I think about every coach we have on here, what are some players that right now are not household names, but by the end of the year they will be?
We've got a lot of good young players still, and we've got some coming from the middle school. I mean, our middle school was very successful this year. Didn't lose any games, but we've got, I'll just say we've got a bunch of young players because I don't want to leave anybody out. I don't want anybody to think that one kid's more important to me than the other one. So they're all important. I think we got some good young ones coming. I hope that's okay, the answer I gave you, but I just
Oh,
don't
that's
like
perfect. That's perfect. Don't worry about that. Yeah, perfect.
No, I was going to say Coach Krieger on After the Whistle has said your all's middle school team would finish, I think, second in the Southwest District. But so obviously y'all have a lot of talent coming up, and it kind of just seems to be, y'all reload every year. But I'm looking forward to seeing y'all Friday night. That's kind of all I had. Cameron, I'm sure Cameron will have something else, but looking forward to the game. Like I said, you all, when I mark games out throughout the year to what I want to go watch, you all are usually several of them. So good luck Friday, and we look forward to watching y'all make a run and seeing how far you go. And we appreciate your time.
Got to get this one first, man. Let's see what happens after that. But you got to get this one. I mean, it should be a really good game. I mean, Lebanon their coach has done a good job. I've got friends down that way. Chris Boyd and I are friends. His son plays wide receiver or slot for Lebanon, Caden Boyd. So he's been calling me a little bit, seeing what's going on this week.
Yeah.
I'm not telling him no.
No. Yeah, I won't hold you up any longer. I will say, now, I thought I saw on your Facebook, does your son play on the middle school team?
Yeah, he's the quarterback at the middle school team.
Okay. So you'll have him up there in a few years then, right?
Next year, he's 8th grade.
Oh, okay.
He'll be there next year. Yeah.
Good. You already starting the recruiting stuff now, or you seen anything yet?
No. He actually, I've got some friends that's coaching college football, and they've been hitting me up. I say, man, he ain't played a high school down yet.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much about all I've got to. Coach, I really appreciate you coming on. Since we started this show, you was one of the top names we've wanted to get on. And, yeah, we've had Coach Krieger and a few of them be like, hey, we can talk to him. We can try to get him on for you. But you're a great coach. I think you're a great leader. I think for me personally, I loved hearing your question or your answers about the culture and stuff. But yeah, as far as Friday night goes, it's going to be a terrific atmosphere there. I think it's probably one of the bigger games there, and maybe since 04, 05, around that time for Lebanon. So I think it'll be a packed house. Again, we appreciate you coming on, and I'll probably try to see you. Well, watch the game Friday night.
Well, I appreciate you guys for having me. Like I said, I've watched y'all in the past. You guys do a great job, and thank you for what you do for the high school sports in this area.
Appreciate that.
Thank you, Coach. All right, guys, we're back again here with Lehigh's quarterback, BRYNNEN Pendergrapht. What's up, man?
Not much. How are y'all?
Hey, we're doing pretty good.
Okay.
So we're going to start off kind of like how we do every week with the player reviews. Just when did you first fall in love with the sport? And then also, if you had any players growing up, it could be college, NFL, or even somebody local that you looked up to.
So I've played football for a really long time, and I actually quit playing in 7th grade after my 7th grade year because my uncle was the head football coach at Lehigh, and then he had resigned, and then the new coach came in, and I don't know, I just kind of lost my love for the game a little bit, and I didn't play both of my 8th grade because I held back in 8th grade, and I didn't play either of those years. And I started playing a lot of golf. And so going into my 9th grade year, they hired Coach Carroll. And so close, and they grew up together and really good friends. And so he came over and talked to me, and I still had no desire of playing, but he talked to me a lot and talked to me what he wanted to do with like the offense and stuff. And they also had it had been, I think, his third year going into start, and he was going to be a senior quarterback. And I really didn't think that I could be able to beat him out, but I went out and just got my love back.
Any athletes or any quarterbacks you look up to? It could be, like I said, local or maybe NFL.
Let's see. I've always liked Drew Brees, just because like he's a smaller dude, and I am too, and he's done a lot in the NFL and really great. And another one that I really like, Spencer Rattler. I'm a really big Spencer Rattler guy, and I liked him on that quarterback show on Netflix and all that. But yeah, I like him too.
Good choices.
I guess Jonesville, is that where Lehigh's at?
It's like right in between
so-
Jonesville and Pennington, like Ben-Hur.
Okay. So the kind of the joke, it's not really a joke, I guess, but we kind of joke around about going to Thomas Walker Lehigh from this way is like the longest trip ever. But I'm not real familiar with Lehigh, anything out that way. So tell us a little bit about what it's like playing there in that community. Just kind of some of your thoughts, some stories or something that sticks out to you about playing there.
Growing up, like the atmosphere going to the games was amazing, especially being on the sidelines with my uncle being the coach and my dad was on the coaching staff too, and just running out the helmet with them and hearing that cannon shoot off. There's nothing better than that. And on Friday nights, just when you score a big touchdown, crowd goes crazy, cannon fires. Nothing better than that. And Coach Carroll's really established a great culture here. And before him, I think, before he got here, we were on a losing streak at 0-26. And he got here, established a great culture. And ever since I started since freshman, we made it to playoffs every year, which is something we haven't done since 2016, I think. And my sophomore year, we had our first winning season since 2018, I think. We went 6-5, counting the playoff game. But I wouldn't want to play anywhere else. I love it here and love the guys.
We're going to touch on off-season prep just a little bit. What did you do this past off-season to get you prepared for the season?
Spent a lot of time in the weight room trying to get my weight up because I've always been a skinny guy, and also spent a lot of time with my receivers, getting chemistry, especially with my brother, who's a freshman this year, who's really stepped up into his role, being one of my main targets. And I went to some camps, and not this past year, but the year before, in the last 2 years, I went to Manning Passing Academy in Thibodaux, Louisiana, and that was really great being around there with all them. I think there was like 41 Division I quarterbacks there, and having Peyton and Eli and all them guys. It was a great experience.
Who is your favorite Manning?
Of course, Peyton. I'm a big Tennessee fan.
I think I can look on his wall back here.
Good answer.
That answer.
It's a good answer. Good answer. I don't know about the Tennessee part, but we'll let that slide.
You mentioned your brother, and that was one of the questions I had had wrote down. Carter Pendergrapht.
Yeah.
So he had WJHL's Week 8 Play of the Week. So I want to shout him out and say congratulations to him. What's it like playing with your brother?
I really haven't thought about it. Like before the season started, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna be playing with him. It's nothing big, not a big deal, but it's really amazing, and especially where he got that Play of the Week. That was pretty awesome, and just we've always had a great chemistry together, throwing in the yard and stuff, and that just translates out to Friday nights, and it's just amazing being able to play with him. Hopefully, being able to set some records here soon with him.
Is there a little like after the game, say get home, say you miss him on a route, he was open or something? Is there any you going home? He let you know about it, or say he drops one, or you get on him?
I get on him a lot in practice. I'm really hard on him. I really am, because I expect nothing but perfection, and he does the same for me. And so last Friday against Burton, which it was a touchdown pass, but it was to Connor Early. It was an 87-yard touchdown pass. but Carter had blown by his guy by 10 yards. But I just caught it and throw it to Connor, and then Carter came over on the sideline to me. He was like, "Man, why didn't it hit me? I was open." I was like, "Well, Connor was too. It was the first one I saw." So
Yeah, and that play's kind of important too, because if I'm not mistaken, that was a record for Lee for the longest touchdown pass. So yeah, I'm sure he was probably a little jealous of that one. 'Cause
he was.
that could have been a brother to brother 87-yard bomb. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned already with Connor a little bit as well. I'm just going to talk a little bit about last week's. You had 329 passing yards last week, which was you breaking your own record at Lee for passing yards in a game, and then Connor early also broke the receiving yards record in a game, which was 242. And then, like you mentioned, the 87-yard bomb. So I just wanted to ask you. I want to say first, congratulations to everybody involved with that. That's a special game, one that you all will remember forever, I'm sure. But mentally, what's going through your mind before games, and then when you're in the zone like that?
All I'm focused on is winning. I could care less if I set records or not. If we run the ball 50 times and I throw it 2 times and we win, it's perfectly fine with me. That's all I'm worried about is winning.
Good answer. I'm going to kind of get away from the sports part with the rest of my questions to an extent. Cameron will come back to for that stuff. I got some off the wall stuff to ask you, but we always ask everybody this one: pregame music. What do you got in your earbuds?
Favorite pregame song, and I think it's the best. "Dreams and Nightmares" by Meek Mill.
Pretty good.
Love it.
And then to piggyback onto that one, it being music. I don't know if you're a UFC fan or not, but if you were a UFC fighter, what would be your UFC? What would be your walkout song?
Let's see. That's a good one.
This usually gets everybody.
Let's see. I mean, "Dreams and Nightmares" will be a good one, but let's see.
I mean,
I'd like to go the Stroke, Billy Squire. Just everybody in the stands, just that go like that. I don't know if you've seen Tennessee baseball, but Billy Amick was the third baseman, and that was his walkout song, and everybody in the crowd done that, and it was pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool. That made some good thought into that one.
Yeah, that had some explanation. I like that. Good job.
So, like J-Mar mentioned, we'll bounce back and forth. He's got some fun ones, and I got some football, which, I mean, I think both will be fun, but I got some football stuff. So, your season so far, it's been kind of up and down. I think 3-3, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of, the Ryco game. I think that has not been talked about enough. That was a very close game against a very good team. Just how do you think that you all have grown throughout the year?
We've grown a lot, just from like a practice standpoint too. Like we've had some younger guys, never played a lot of varsity reps, and we're really young. We only have 5, 6 seniors, and just practice. Everybody's locked in now. Like start of the season is a couple guys will goof off here and there. There's not much of that anymore, and us seniors have took a big leadership role in this, and it's just changed a lot. And after the Rycove game, especially, just because we know that we can compete with the best teams around. And be quite frank, honestly with you, we should have won that game, but our defense stepped up big, and we just couldn't connect on some shots on the offense. But from that point on, I really think our defense is really locked in now. Like start of the year, we really wasn't there, but especially after Rycove just holding them to 14 points, and I think that's the lowest they've been held in 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely this year.
Yeah.
I think you are the only one. I think, Eastside was 40 points they gave up, but I think other than that, it was all 50-point games and up. So, yeah, definitely a great accomplishment there. J-Mar, do you care if I go ahead and ask another one? Or
go ahead.
I'll go ahead and, you already mentioned a little bit about Coach Carroll. Our buddies from over at Tailgate Talk, they had him on, I think, a few weeks ago. So I want to give you a chance to talk about Coach again and just some of the other staff members you have there.
So Coach Carroll's like a second dad to me. I have him for advanced PE for 4th block, it's weightlifting class, and we sit in there and we watch film. Me and him script the practice schedule together, and he's really been open with me with the plays too. Like he'll let me call play here and there if I see one that I like. Actually, against Burton, I've done that a lot because we were up a lot, and he was just letting me call some stuff. And then Coach Adams, he's been a quarterbacks coach for me for the past 4 years, and he's really helped me big time with especially my throwing motion, because when I first started, I liked to sidearm a lot, and he's really helped me with that. And just Coach Carroll's just a great dude. And then all the stuff about the union stuff that he said, a lot of people took that a lot farther than what he was meaning. He wasn't meaning if we had them people, we'd be so much better or anything. He's just stating the obvious. They left. But I really like what we do offensively too. I love the RPO game because I literally get to decide who gets the ball, and it's helped me a lot, especially like sitting with him and watching film and just breaking down stuff. But yeah, without Coach Carroll, I wouldn't be playing football right now.
I just wanted to comment before Gamer asked the question. I agree completely with the whole comment with the union and all that. That was totally blown out proportion, and I got a chance to listen to him talk about it on that episode of Tailgate Talk, and yeah, I think that was just way more than what it needed to be.
Yeah.
But I think he definitely had a point, and I think it's kind of more of just an obvious point. I mean, I don't think it was anything hidden. Everybody knew that.
Yeah.
But yeah, go ahead, J. Moore. I just wanted to comment on that.
Do you have any rituals or superstitions that you got to make sure you get in before the game?
I'm pretty superstitious on what I do. I like to wear the same stuff almost every game. I always put tape on both my wrists. I don't know. I'm just weird about that stuff, and I always put my towel in the same spot. And I always write stuff on my tape the same as I have the past 4 years.
Rituals at Lehigh, you mentioned they got the canon or traditions, I guess, not rituals, but any other kind of cool things about y'all's programs that we wouldn't know?
Just walking down that hill in general. Just walking down there, crowd going crazy, and we're very protective over that hill. We don't let any opposing team walk down it.
Like that. I got one before we get into the preview of this matchup Friday night. I wanted to give you an opportunity to shout out some of the other teammates that you have.
I'd like to shout out the whole offensive line. We have a really young offensive line. Our left guard is right guard started one game last year and didn't start the rest of the year. But our left guard is our only true starter that's back. The rest of the guys just played JV. And so we have a really young O-line. They've really stepped up big time from the beginning of the season. They don't like when I get touched, and it don't happen again once it happens. And but I'd like to shout out all my receivers, especially my brother, because he's been a big help this year, and he's done really well. And Connor Hurley, when he gets the ball, big plays going to happen most of the time. Very electric and shifty. Shiftiest player probably in Southwest Virginia, I really think. Let's see, we've had some young guys step up big time this year, including Nathan Shelburne, middle linebacker. He's been big time for us, which this is his first year playing varsity too. I think he leads the team in tackles. Let's see who else. Just basically the whole team, because we have grown so much together this year, a lot better than I figured we would, with a lot of the guys leaving. And then Evan Scott and Aiden Bates stepping up to running back this year after Grayson Huff graduated, who was a 4-year starter. So, yeah.
That was a smart quarterback answer, throwing the line out first. That was very smart. So we're going to the movies. If you have to choose between a rom-com, an action movie, a comedy movie, or a horror movie, which one are you choosing?
Let's see. I'm a big war movie guy. I love my war movies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your 3 favorite sports movies. I already had sports wrote down, so we'll go with sports movies, and then after that, you go with 3 favorite. We'll go war movies.
Let's see. 3 favorite movies. When the Game Stands Tall. Ones. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Carter. I love that movie.
That's a great answer.
Remember the Titans. It's my favorite football movie.
That's 3 good movies. 3 good answers. I am curious about the war movies since you're into those. What are your 3 favorites of it?
Let's see. Gosh, what is that? It's my favorite one. It's got Mel Gibson in it. It's a Vietnam movie.
Patriot or
We Were Soldiers?
Yes, We Were Soldiers.
Oh, yeah.
That is
Yeah,
my
that's a
favorite
great
movie
movie.
of all time.
That's a great answer.
movie. And then I'm terrible with names. Gosh, what is that one? It's got the medic that doesn't shoot guns.
Hacksaw Ridge.
Hacksaw Ridge.
It's
Yeah.
a great movie too.
And then
Got great taste in movies.
Yeah. And then all the Rambo movies. Love Rambo.
Yeah, that's some great choices. And just to go back to the sports movies for a second, When the Game Stands Tall, I love that movie, and I don't hear many people talk about that, so
it's a good
I
movie.
appreciated you said that one. So let's talk about Friday night a little bit. I think this is going to be a lot closer game than I think some people have even said, but I know Gate City's got a great program over there. They got some talent, but what are some keys to the game? And I know you don't want to give away too much, but just a few basic keys, I guess, for the game Friday night.
I think the biggest one is how our defense plays, because if they play like they did against Rykov, especially, I think we'll be able to turn some heads out in the crowd, and they'll be realizing we can play with this bunch, because a lot of people still don't believe we can, and I don't understand why. And then offensively, we got to be able to establish the run game. I think that's been one of our, I guess, like lesser known habits this year. But establishing the run game, because they like to have 5 in the box a lot, and then just hitting on our deep shots, because I've had a little struggle this year with hitting the deep shots, and finally got against Burton, and then just connecting on just our RPOs and stuff, and controlling the line of scrimmage. That's probably the biggest factor this game.
Recruitment, life after high school. Is there any plans to play college ball or any college sports, or do you have something else in mind?
I've always wanted to play college ball, no matter if it's basketball or football. I wouldn't mind to go play at UVA Wise just because it's close to home, and I've been in contact with their coaches a lot. And then after that, thought a lot, but I just want to coach. That's one thing I really want to do. Me and Coach Carroll's talked, and I would love to be back on his coaching staff and help with the quarterbacks and just anything. I would love to coach anywhere, because that's my passion. It's just wanting to help others.
You already got the headset. You look like you're a natural fit. So I think coaching's in your future. This is my last off the wall question. I'm gonna throw out a couple options for you. You just pick between the two. You going chicken or beef?
Chicken.
Bacon or sausage?
Sausage.
And what's your favorite dipping sauce for nuggets?
Ketchup.
Good job.
Solid.
I love some fried chicken.
Yeah, that's getting me pretty hungry thinking about it. Before we do our last question, you mentioned wanting to coach and stuff, and I think that When the Game Stands Tall movie that you mentioned has a lot of great nuggets in it to carry into a coaching career. But our final question, and we end all of our interviews like this, just the biggest motivation that you carry with you out in the field.
Biggest motivation, probably our losing record of 0-26. I like to keep that in mind every game, just to show everybody. And another one is just to prove a lot of people wrong, because we're really doubted. A lot of people doubt Lehigh, and I just love proving people wrong. And that's one thing that us as a team, we talk about, and that's one thing that we hope to do Friday, is prove a lot of people wrong, because we have a lot of doubters.
Yeah, I love that mentality, and it's a great answer. I'll send it to Jamar after this, but thank you for coming on. We had mentioned getting you on even a few weeks ago. A hurricane hit. So I think it ended up working out, because we got you on right after a heck of a game against Burton. And just good luck going forward. Good luck this Friday night. And we're excited to see what you all do this year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I don't know that I'll ever be able to get to a game down there, getting off work in time to drive that far, but I would absolutely love to come down and see the cannon, the hill, and check out all these things you're talking about. So I will do my best to get down that way. But yeah, we appreciate your time, man. Thanks for coming on. Have really enjoyed the conversation. All the best. Stay healthy this year, and good luck We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you all for having me. This was fun.
I appreciate it.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
All right, guys. We're getting ready to start our Week 8 preview and picks. Before we start this segment, we want to disclose that a lot of the stats and stuff we mention is from the Bristol paper or from our stat guy, John Ward. I also want to mention that the Southwest Virginia Sportsbook that we will be mentioning betting lines, throughout the episode. These are not real betting lines, so nobody try to throw us under the bus there, but it's all for fun. So our Week 8 preview and picks, we're going to do this with our guest picker, former Twin Springs and King College standout, as well as an assistant coach for Eastside Lady Spartans, the defending 1A state champions in varsity girls basketball. He's a former guest on our show. We're happy to be joined by Mr. Mark Dockery.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
Just real quick, I just wanted to give Mark a shout out. He gave us hooked us up with a ride from Nicholsville to Ryco Friday night, and we appreciated it because we probably would have got a little lost there. I think we would have found it, but we would have been even later than we were. But thank you for that. We appreciate that.
Yeah, it was a good game till the end there. So.
Yeah. I think if we would have got a mile or so out, we could hear the horns. We would have made it. I'm not 100% sure.
Those Scott County horns go a long ways.
That's it. That's it. All right, guys. We'll start off with Gate City 3-3 at Lee 3-3. Gate City, according to the Southwest Virginia Sportsbook, is a 19.5-point favorite. As mentioned before, when we did our interview with Brynnen, he had a great game last week. They beat Burton 51-0. He broke the single game passing record in that, and he also had 4 touchdown passes. Gate City has had an up and down year so far, but that close game against Union is probably their biggest, in my opinion, feather in a cap for this year. Walker Hillman, the running back for them, has been very impressive. This matchup is really important when it comes to playoff seeding. So my pick for this one might be a surprise to some people, but I'm going with an upset. I'm going with Lee winning 28-21. I think Brynnen has a very impressive game. Defense steps up. I think that Rye Cove game, I know they're 1A, but I think they grew a lot in that game. So I have Lee pulling the upset in this one.
I'm gonna go against you, and I'm gonna say Gate City, especially them coming off a bye week, I believe last week. They're gonna be well rested. And I don't know if Lehigh was. I don't think they were. Were they open last week? But
they played Burton last week.
They played Burton last week, so I'm gonna abstain from the scores, but I'm gonna say Gate City over Lehigh.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lehigh. I think, or not Lehigh, but Gate City. But I think you're right, on the right track, Cam. I don't think it'll be what Southwest Virginia Sportsbook had the spread. I think if it's 19.5, I'm taking Lehigh to cover that for sure. I think it'll be anywhere from a 8 to 12 point ball game. But I think Gate City just kind of edges them out late. Maybe a turnover will be a difference or somewhere around there. But I think it'll be a very good game. I hate picking that because, like I said, we just had Brynnen on, and great guest. But I'm gonna lean towards the Blue Devils Blue Devils. That's right.
I think it'll be a great game this week. I agree with you. I don't think that 19, 20 points line is a pretty tough line. I think next matchup we got Narrows 3-2 at Honaker 3-3. Honaker is a 6.5-point favorite. These two teams created one of the craziest games of the year in the whole state last year. Honaker won 74-51. Jay Moore, was you at that game, or you might have been keeping up with it on your phone?
I was there.
Were you at that game? Yeah, so
yeah.
Probably one of the craziest games you ever saw, I'm sure.
It's one of the most offensive, explosive, like just back and forth. Yeah, it was kind of wild.
I think I don't think this year is quite going to be like that. Honaker is coming off of a bye week after beating Chilhowie, which I thought was a pretty good win for them. But I am still going with Honaker. I think it'll be closer. Jackson Dye looked very good in that win against Chilhowie. I think he'll have a good game again this Friday. Turnovers, and I think you mentioned it, Jay Moore, earlier in the year with Honaker. They had a few against Chilhowie. They're going to have to clean that up going forward if they want to take the appropriate steps to make it in the play or make it further in the playoffs. I think it'll be a close one throughout most of the game, but I do see Honaker kind of pulling away at the end. I have it 36-12.
I'm gonna have to go with Honaker too. I'll be honest, I don't know much about Narrows. I do remember that game last year, but I'm gonna have to go with Honaker. Like you said, coming off a bye week, hopefully they're starting to figure some things out. I know they've kind of been a little hit or miss, in parts of their game, but I'm gonna go with Honaker to clean it up this week.
Yeah, I've not followed Narrows much. We talked about them a couple times in scores, but honestly can't really remember much about who they've played and who they haven't. But I'm gonna go with Honaker. They're starting to get a little better each week, it seems like, but turnovers have been a problem. Ball on the ground a lot. It seems like every game it's been an issue. I think to clean that up a little more this week, and I think they also get. I think he's a freshman, but I don't know how much he had. What their plan had been originally at the beginning of the season, as far as if he'd have been a starter or not. But I think to get somewhat of an impact player back healthy this week that hadn't played yet, I think it could help a little bit with depth. So I'm gonna go with the Tigers at home, and I do have them covering the 6.5.
Next one. Anyway, fun matchup here in this next one, especially for Buchanan County. Anyway, Grundy 2-4 at Hurley 1-5. Grundy's a 21.5-point favorite. It's at the Cliff. Going to be a great environment there between two rivals. Grundy can clinch the BDD and the Buchanan County Championship with a win. Games like this, you never know. I know that on paper, Grundy should, in my opinion, probably run away with it if all things go right. But playing at the Cliff, being the matchup that they've had over the years, I think it could be a lot closer than people think. But, I think for one, and we had Tester on at the beginning of all this, there's only so many more of these matchups left. And I'm assuming this will be the last one at the Cliff because, playoffs probably isn't in the future this year for the Rebels. And we don't know about next year, but it could be the last game for Grundy and Hurley at the Cliff. So that's a big moment. But I have Grundy winning this one. They have to win this one. I think that they're right now record-wise behind, even though points-wise they're probably not as bad off because the teams they played. But you can't drop one like this, I don't think. I have Grundy winning 32-18.
I'm gonna go Grundy as well. I think Grundy could be a sleeper here late in the season. Probably not going to be a team that you may want to see in the playoffs, especially if you're sitting up there high seed. Probably not a team that you want to see come playoff time. So I'm going to go Grundy in this one.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal what you mentioned about it possibly being the last time these two teams play at the Cliff. It's just one of those things. But I think Grundy big in this one. I don't think they're easily cover the spread. I can see it. I can see them putting up 40 plus for sure. And I mean, Hurley's probably going to score a couple late in the game, but I think Grundy rolls pretty handily in this one. And right now, I think they're sitting at 8 in the rankings, if I'm not mistaken. But if it did end today, could you imagine Ryko having, like, congratulations, you're the 1 seed, you get to play Grundy? Like, it's not 8 seed you want to play. Which I think they'll probably move up over the next couple of weeks, and and it kind of changed a little bit. But like Mark said, that's not, if you're one of those top 4 teams hosting that first round, you don't want to have to deal with that as a first round game. That's a tough matchup. But yeah, I'd take Grundy big in this one.
Yeah, I think you're exactly spot on. Both of you are about that. You're going to have a lot of eyes on Grundy for the rest of the year from a lot of different schools because of that very reason. Next game, we got John Battle, 0-6 at Ridgeview, 6-1. Ridgeview is a 47.5-point favorite. The Wolfpack's coming off that tough loss last week against the Union. I know they'll be ready to get back on the field. I don't know, if they're going to cover that 47.5. I think they could if they wanted to. John Battle's, they're down this year. I've had some injuries. They're kind of young. I don't think they'll quite put on over 47, but I think it will be 42-0 Ridgeview.
I agree with you. I think it's going to be a pretty wide open game for Ridgeview. I'm going Ridgeview over Battle.
Yeah, I don't know if normally betting wise, that's a lot of points. So I don't know if they cover it. Like you said, they probably could if they really want to, but I don't know how long they leave starters in and how much they try to throw the ball downfield late in the game. Long year for Battle. Ridgeview gets a win. Thing for them in this one, a game like this, just get through the game, stay healthy, move on. So I'll go with Ridgeview.
So this next matchup should be a good one. Chilhowie 3-3 at Rural Retreat 3-3. Rural Retreat is a 9.5-point favorite. This game last year was very close. I think it came down to a touchdown maybe at the end of the game. Or a touchdown, and then I think it came down to an interception towards the end to seal it. I watched Chilhowie play against Honaker. They were 2 weeks ago. It was on Friday Night Rivals. I was impressed by them in moments. I think that they kind of got off track of what their game plan was. But I really like the way the quarterback plays. Asher Chapman, a tall, lanky kid. When they did need a pass, it seemed like he was always spot on. They have a linebacker. I can't remember his name, but he was very solid too. So I guess, at least according to the sports book, this would be an upset, but I have Chilhowie winning 18-12.
I'm probably going to go Rural Retreat on this one. They've played some. It's going to be a tight game. I think it could come down to a possession or two either way, but I'm going to go Rural Retreat to win this one. Maybe by, if I was a betting man, I'd say 10.
I'm even more confused about who to pick now than I was before you two went. Because I honestly have not watched either team. They're like right behind each other right now in the rankings right now. I think where was it at?
It's at Rural Retreat.
I'm gonna go with Rural Retreat being at home. I don't know how much that matters as far as they're very familiar opponents. Being in the Hoga-Higgy, but I'll go with Rural Retreat or whoever you said was the home team. Points wise, I don't know. That's a spread 3.5,
9.5,
9.5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Chilhowie covers that. I'm gonna say it's within a touchdown or and a conversion be 8 points will be the most that it'll be. I think it'll be a good shootout, good Hoga-Higgy shootout out there.
Yeah, Rural Retreat's an odd team to kind of predict this year, I think, because kind of like Grundy, they played some pretty tough programs. They played Grayson County, and they played Galax, I think, maybe. Galax, George Wythe. No, maybe George Wythe, I think. And then they played Lebanon as well. I think that's their 3 losses. But then, the wins, I think some of them, competition-wise, those teams wasn't doing as well. So they're really hard to judge, see where they're at. But I think this would be a good barometer, I guess, to see. But yeah, close one. I think all 3 of us agree it's going to be close. Richlands 0-6 at Virginia High 3-3. Virginia High is a 49.5-point favorite. Virginia High is coming off a big win last week against Tazewell, 45-7. Keyshawn Smith had 214 receiving yards and 72 yards rushing. I may be wrong, but I think that he had been hurt. I think they've had 2 really good receivers hurt, but I think that he may have been hurt for the Graham game. I may be wrong on that, but Richlands is currently on an 18-game losing streak. Fortunately for them, I don't see that stopping this week. I have Virginia High 45-6.
Yeah, I'm going to say Richlands drops to 0-7. Virginia High, when you're in that conference with Graham, that's just a tough place to be with. But I don't see the losing streak gets extended to 19. So
last year, almost probably really should have been Richlands' only win of the year, unless you want to count the Tazewell kind of weird game. But because I think it took a play at the end of the game for Virginia High to beat Richlands, unless that was year before last. Was that last year or year before last?
Can't remember.
I want to think that was last year, but unless I'm just completely off. But I don't think it'll be like it this year. I think Virginia High is, obviously on a trending upward right now, and how they're playing. And Richlands is not able to build as much as what they probably would want to at this point in the year. It's going to take some time there. I'm not saying that they don't have the right guys in place, but it's when you can't rebuild it overnight. So they're still in that process of figuring things out. So yeah, 19 it'll continue to 19, and Virginia High will get the win. They're sitting right now at that 4 or 5 range between hosting and not hosting. So this is every game for them moving forward is a big one, and they may need some help moving forward. From Ridgeview and Lebanon, maybe to get up there, but they may even have them in head-to-head matchup. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that they could host a playoff game. So every game for them moving forward is a big one. But yeah, I got Virginia High.
So this next game, Marion 0-6 at Tazewell 3-3. Tazewell is a 20.5 point favorite. This game, I think if you would have asked maybe week 1, week 2, I think that line would have been bigger. Tazewell, I feel like, is kind of underperformed in a way. I think maybe it's just my opinion. I think the talent they have, I thought they were going to be a little bit more impressive this year, but I think they've struggled at times. You see against Grundy, and then last week against Virginia High. But they're dying to get back on the field after that game, losing one that should have been a lot closer in that kind of fashion. Jay Moore, well, I'll go ahead and say my pick first, but whenever it does get to you, I'm curious because you had firsthand, like you got to see them play. And so after Mark, when it does get to you, I'm curious what you think the issue might be there. But I do have Tazewell bouncing back this week, but I don't think I still don't think it's pretty. I think it's going to be 38-18. I think it's going to be a sloppy game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Tazewell over Marion as well. I don't know much about either team. I do know I think Central played Marion early in the season. Tazewell bounces back after last week.
Yeah, as far as the Tazewell Grundy game, it was Tazewell had some miscues on offense, penalties, saw some drives out. They didn't really get clicking until there in that second half. But as far as defensively goes, Grundy just lined up and run at him. I mean, it wasn't really. I mean, it's not like a slight at them. Grundy's got two great backs and a good line, so it's it was just one of those 3 or 4 yards at a time and just wear them out. Kind of, just get what you can, and they were able to put drives together. But yeah, Tazewell looked much better in the second half on offense. Looked like they were a little more, figured some things out and what they wanted to do and took advantage of some matchups. As far as this week goes, I think it's kind of what the doctor order for them is to get a struggling Marion team right now, sitting in the 8th seed right now in 2A in the rankings. Again, that's kind of not one of those teams you might want to. It's just matchup wise, they might not want to see them coming in as a bottom seed if they get hot and start playing well. But they got some things. Yeah, they're going to get some things figured out. You got Creasy back there slinging it all over the place, so it's never an easy matchup. But I got Tazewell big this week.
So that's all for the games as far as with the Southwest Virginia Sportsbook. Just because I love mentioning the lines and stuff, I did some lines for the next games, and so you can tell me if I'm way off or not. But we'll have one more to be our game of the week. They did that one, of course, but we'll do that one at the end. But next up, we got Y Central 2-4 at Union 5-2. I have Union as a 34.5 point favorite. According to the Bristol paper, Phil Robbins Field will be dedicated there Friday night. Honors the former Powell Valley football and track and field coach. And then, Union, they're coming off that big win against Ridgeview. I think kind of just reminded everybody where they stand in that matchup. Reminded me and you, Jay Marks. I think we both picked Ridgeview, if I'm not mistaken. Keith Chandler had a huge game. I had 206 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and 10 tackles. So great game from him. I see them winning again this week, 42-12 over Y Central.
Yeah, I don't think Central has anything to stop Keith Chandler. So, yeah, I'm gonna say Union wins this one fairly easy.
That last week, my dad watched it on TV, and basically what he said was a lot of drops from Ridgeview receivers, and maybe some turnovers. But obviously, you talked about that one that had some picks, but apparently a lot of miscues on offense, a lot of drops that could have been different, made things a little different. But basically, he said it was like watching pinball, run back just bouncing off people. The Ridgeview was in the right spots, they just couldn't tackle him. So, yeah, I thought that might be the year Ridgeview takes that step, but apparently still the physicality of Union was a problem, and like I said, he said there might have been some drops. But this week, I got Union Central. Said, I think it's not going to be I just don't think they can match up with them. Whatever you made the line at, they're going to cover that easy, and it'll be more than that, a lot more probably. But
34.5 is what I had.
Go up a lot more than that. Yeah. Union's probably, I mean, they control their own kind of destiny. They're in that 2 seed right now. Graham's probably, you never know what could happen, but I mean, Graham's got a 2-point advantage right now. Some big games coming up, which we'll get to later, but Union kind of controls their destiny a little bit. If they win out, they probably won't drop no farther than 2, I wouldn't think, but they could get hot by some other teams if there's some upsets, or I guess if you want to call it upsets, but we'll get to that. But yeah, I got Union.
All right, this game is actually scheduled for Thursday night. When this episode comes out, it'll be Thursday morning, so tonight. Holston 5-1 at Northwood 3-3. I have Holston as 21-point favorites. Holston's coming off of a big win against rival Patrick Henry, 26-21. From what I've read, the quarterback from Holston, Noah Tweed, was hurt during the game. Hayden Sinclair took over. He ended up rushing for 103 yards, and he had the game-winning touchdown with 1:32 left. I think Holston carries that momentum from that win, and I have them winning this one 36-16.
Yeah, I'll take Holston in this one. Northwood kind of seems like they're up and down, but I'm going to take Holston, especially after that win over Patrick Henry. That's a very impressive win. Even though Patrick Henry's missing Barrett, I still think that's a good win for them. So I'm going to take them in this one.
Yeah, I think that was a very good win for them. Obviously, like you mentioned, the injury, but they're Patrick Henry's still that scheme they run, and the offensive line. They still got some guys, and for Holston to come in there and limit them to the 20s, that's a big win for them. I'm gonna take Holston in this one. I think Northwood's kind of coming along, getting better. It seems like as the year goes on, but I think Holston's a little too much. And they're sitting right now at a 3 seed right now, so that's looking. They're
That's
looking
wild.
they're looking to host a playoff game. So they got Honecker right behind them. Have they played yet in the regular season?
Yeah, Honecker beat them.
So I mean, yeah. So they got them ahead of them right now. So I mean, they're kind of wild in the Hogo this year. It's kind of wide open. Their game is gonna matter, and I feel like Holston will get this one.
When I say it's wild, it's no disrespect to Holston. It's just, there's just so many teams that like Grundy, Patrick Henry. Some of those teams that, I don't know, it seems like seeding-wise, like we mentioned before, some of these top teams are maybe not getting the best outcome and the way the seeding is going to be when the playoff games start. Like I said, it's not selling Holston short by any means.
You know what? I don't know if we got it to pick or if they're open this week or not, but just I thought it was really kind of wild. Right now, Patrick Henry's not in the top 8. So
yeah,
I mean, imagine that they played with Lebanon for 3.5 quarters, or at least 3 quarters. That's a good team. Obviously injuries, but for them to not even be right now, I know there's games left to go in the season. They could be up there, but that's just crazy to think that Patrick Henry is not in the top 8 right now. That kind of surprised me.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't know the extent of Barrett's injury. I know he was in a boot, but I don't know the extent of the running back's injury. Stewart, I thought he may have been coming back, but just like Coach Wade mentioned last week, Coach Padgett's not one to really give anybody any information to use against him, so we probably ain't going to know the answer to that. Next matchup, J.I. Burton at George Wythe, 5-2. I have George Wythe as a 38-point favorite. I have George Wythe also winning this one 42-6.
Yeah, J.I. Burton with I think they've got a really tough schedule. I mean, I know in the district, I think they've played Eastside, and I think they still have Rycove left, but their out of conference schedule's tough. I've got George Wythe winning this one.
Yeah, I think this one's pretty lopsided. Probably, I'm gonna go with George Wythe.
We just have a few more left. We got Thomas Walker 4-2 at Twin Valley, 1-5. Thomas Walker have them down as a 27.5-point favorite. Both teams are playing their second game this week. Thomas Walker beat Unaka yesterday, Tuesday. Twin Valley got their first win of the season. Congratulations to them. That was Monday against Bland County. And Isaac Manus, I guess, hope I'm saying his name right, had a big one in that. I have Thomas Walker winning, though, 40-16.
Yeah. Yeah, I got Thomas Walker as well. Do you say they're traveling to Twin Valley?
Yeah, that's what I hope that's right, yeah.
I'd hate to know what I'd say it's a 3.5 hour bus ride, so we're close to it. But yeah, I've got Thomas Walker in this one.
It sucks. Let me tell you, that trip is not a fun trip. I think they're on the way right now. Probably they'll probably come on, leave tonight, and stop somewhere and sleep. But unless they get lost, I don't see Twin Valley being able to really sustain enough to stay in this one. So I'm gonna go with Thomas Walker. But shout out to Coach Krieger and their win against Blaine this week. That was a good, just get that one. That's great for them, and congratulations to those kids working hard. And I think Twin Valley finishes their last 4 games are at home, I think, so they don't have to go on the road anymore for the rest of the year.
That's big for them. You mentioned Thomas Walker's drive. They went to Hurley last week, so I'm assuming they made the trip to Hurley, came back, probably got back just in enough time to get on the field to play against Unaka. By the time that game was done, maybe took a quick nap and started on the trip over here. So
I mean, in terms of travel, it's basically the same as like Miami and Virginia Tech having to go to Cal and Stanford last week and then turn right around and have to go back again if they were to do that. It's basically what Thomas Walker's dealing with. It's so kudos to them for having to make those 2 trips.
Yeah, they I watched Tailgate Talks episode for this week today, and I'll give him a shout out because they had me rolling. They had talked about Thomas Walker. I guess they may have lost one of their players. I'm not sure to the extent of him being hurt, and hopefully he's not hurt bad or anything like that. Prayers, with him. But whenever it got brought up on the show, one of them said, did they lose him on the way? And so I thought that was kind of funny. It is a long trip, and
they'll think trip this week's a breeze compared to having to go get off the 4 lane and go on across the mountain Hurley last week. So they'll think they're in heaven.
Yeah, that's no disrespect to Hurley either. It's just we've been over there hundreds of times. I've had family over there, so but yeah, that trip was something different for sure. Especially going over and seeing the cliff after that long drive. Next one here, this one should be close to your heart, Mark. Twin Springs 3-3 at Eastside 5-1. Eastside 23.5 point favorites. Eastside hasn't beat Twin Springs since the spring of 2021. We'll touch on the Rye Cove game or Rye Cove here in just a minute. But whenever y'all do get to your picks, I just, we were all at the game last week. I just want to know your opinion on how that went. But I have Eastside winning 42-12. And just for me to say my piece before we get over there, I think it was a lot closer game last week than what people that didn't watch it would think. I think that a few plays here and there throughout the game, I think Eastside may have missed some opportunities. And then when it got to that fourth quarter, it was just, I don't know, everything just kind of broke at one time, kind of a snowball effect. But I think that game definitely was not a 40-8 point game. Just the eye test anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna go Eastside in this one. And I'd say coming off that game last week, I might go them pitching a shutout. And the only reason I'm gonna say that is Twin Springs has had some of the worst luck with injuries this year. They're missing a lot of pieces, a lot of good kids and athletes. So I could see Eastside pitching a shutout. That's something that the defense kind of takes pride in, is getting shutouts. And I could see that happening just because of all the injuries that Twin Springs has. As far as the game last week, really, like for the most part, a really clean game for the most part. I know we left a little bit early. I don't know if anything happened the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game, but I think when we left, it had got to 32-8, and then I'm assuming Eastside went for it again on 4th down and give Rye Cove good field position. But really, like if you was going to say, I'd say a 2-touchdown game. I would say 24-8 is a more fair. But I mean, you give Rye Cove credit; they are physical. They're one of them teams that if you watch them, they're not going to wow you. It's not like, I think we remember the Titans. They're not Ed Henry. It's not going to look like the New York Jets out there, but they're going to line up, hit you in the mouth, and they do what they do, and they do it well. So I hope to get to watch them two play again in the postseason, which could happen. But yeah, in this one, I've got Eastside beating Twin Springs. And as far as that game goes, like you said, closer than the score indicates, but still Rye very physical, very tough team, going to be hard to beat.
I think first half, Cove mainly won the field position battle. Great starting, great field position on each of their drives they started on. And Penn had a couple of punts at Penn Eastside back pretty deep. I think that once down like the 1 or 2. Eastside was always kind of, playing, in their own, near their own end zone there a couple of times. But I think another big thing, especially there, I noticed late in the second half, they kind of moved the ball a little better. But I think had a turnover, which hurt them. But also, I think Ryco was able to get Eastside to obvious passing situations, and when that happened, that Ryco defensive line, Eastside's quarterback didn't have any time at all. They made a long night for him, and he got banged up pretty good. I mean, not injury wise, but they had some good shots on him. And I think he's a freshman maybe, so it was a kind of a throw him out there, and this is kind of maybe a new experience for him as far as that kind of pressure. So, I look for the East Side if they play them again to be much better. I don't know if you can change a whole lot as far as, what you're able to do, but I think they'll be more prepared for what they're getting into. It's like field position that first half killed them, but they did a really good job against Rock Cove too. It wouldn't, they stopped them several times, and it's not like it was, Rock Cove was, had a lot of scoring opportunities. It's 8-0 at halftime, I think, and I think jumped out to 16-0 early, but then Eastside put a good drive together and scored. So yeah, it was a great game through like you said, 3.5 quarters. And there at the end, it kind of all just kind of, you know how that happens. That happens a lot of times. Those late game touchdowns that make games look worse than they were. Rock Cove's clearly the best team in Region 1 and Region 1D. I think it's probably pretty clear the Eastside's probably the second best team. Grundy, I just feel like, I know I keep saying that, and people probably think I'm crazy because they're 8 seed. I just think they could have a opportunity to make some noise, but I think in that matchup, I do think Eastside may be a little more well-rounded. But that'd be a great matchup between Logan Lester and Taylor, and then you had Keldon, and there's several backs from Eastside that are fast, big. They kind of have a little bit of a mixture. So, but looking forward to seeing how that plays out. But yeah, I almost forgot to say Eastside big time this week against Twin Springs. Twin Springs won't score unless Eastside kind of pulls back. But I think what Mark said, I think they probably take a lot of pride in having that 0 up there. So I could see them pitching a shutout. But yeah, Eastside big in this one. I don't know what score will be, as much as they want it to be, I guess.
Yeah, and like you said, I think they do take a lot of pride in that. Wouldn't surprise me if Twin Springs gets on the board, but I know that that's kind of something that the defense takes pride in. So,
if people want a good physical game, like they talk about the Graham and Union, how physical that is, and obviously it's bigger, faster, stronger guys for the most part because it's 2A. But I don't find a more physical game than what Eastside and Rock Cove. There was a lot of big hits, and it was coming from both sides. So if that's your brand of football, if they play in the playoffs, if you like that kind of football, people need to go watch that.
Yeah. Before we get into our game of the week, I just want to shout out some of the bye weeks so that way people know. You mentioned Patrick Henry. From what I gather, they were on a bye week. We already kind of briefly talked about them. They're just trying to find their way with some of these injuries. I'm not sure to the extent of how long they last, but I think they'll make it in that, in the playoffs. Castlewood got their first win last week. Me and Jamar, I'd like to say that we were on top of it and was, getting this pick out there. We were geniuses, but we had actually picked them to win the week before that. But still yet, I think you picked them as well last week, right? So yeah. We were still right. So yeah, Castlewood got their first win against Twin Springs. Coach Sean Chisholm getting his first W as a coach, so congratulations to him. And then we already talked about it a little bit. Rye Cove's on a bye week. I think as far as them, I think that they have a really good shot at finishing the season undefeated. We kind of put that on Facebook right after the game. and I think everybody's kind of in agreement there. I mean, not to say that upsets happen, but on paper they should go. They should run the table. I thought was really impressive as far as just on them last week, and I was more of a person that was kind of against it. So when I say this, I know at least Jamor is going to be kind of surprised, but I was against them spreading it out so much last week. I thought they just performed better when they were in their kind of base offense. However, Landon, I think, had a great game throwing. I think there's a few that he probably wishes he could have got back.
There's that
But,
one for sure.
Yeah.
That was right in front of us.
There was almost two back-to-back, I think, if I'm not
there
mistaken.
There wasn't nobody within 20 yards.
Yeah.
Just let me comment real quick. I already went on a rig rant, but you was talking about, their base thing. I just think they do such a good job at mixing it up, and you have the opportunity because when they do that, they can spread it out. You let Landon get kind of go make a plays and get him in open field. I think in that base thing, I think you're kind of limited with him as far as. I mean, I'm sure they can come up with something, but when they spread it out, it gives him an opportunity to go be an athlete and just make plays. I think you got to mix it up. I know what you're saying, but I think it makes them so dangerous when they can do that. They can just spread it out, or then they can come back and run that power look and just line up and run it right at you.
Yeah, and the one play you talked about, where we said the guy was wide. I mean, that was just broken coverage. And I mean, he probably I think at the time we kind of mentioned, I think maybe Jamar, you said it, I don't think he realized how much time he had, and I don't think he realized how open he was probably. But I mean, that was obviously broken coverage, and he was wide open.
Yeah, probably one of the deals. He, like you said, he kind of was in rhythm and thought he had to lead him. And in reality, he just could have threw it right to him where he was at. And we would have been closer to the receiver than somebody from East Side was. Because like I said, it was completely broken play. I'm not sure what happened, but there wasn't nobody around.
Yeah, and I think that, you're right. I think they do need to kind of switch it up here and there. But it was just really impressive to see them have some success in that. I think they look comfortable in it. I think whenever I first made that statement, I thought, they're going away from what they do, but they looked really comfortable in spreading it out like that. And later on in the year, depending on how far they go, that could be a very beneficial thing to them. Just great team or great atmosphere over there Friday night. First off, first time being a Ryco since I played. And when you play, you don't really appreciate it as much, and they're especially a lot better now. But I also wanted to say, I can't remember their names, but somebody offered or trying to get you a hat, Jamar. I don't know if that's on the way, but I wanted to shout them out and say thank you, and I'm sure you will as well.
Yeah, I was going to wear it if it come in, but I don't think it did yet. So
yeah, like I said, it was great atmosphere. They got a great fan base over there. Have a lot of them that actually watch the show, share the episodes and stuff. Even when we put out announcements, they share it. So
my only thing, and we talked about this at the game, and y'all might know where I'm going with this. The one lady, I don't know, she might be a student. I'm not sure. Maybe she's not. Maybe she graduated. The one lady that was with the air horn in the end zone, somebody needs to teach her when to use that thing, because she was very liberal with it. Like if it was every play, I mean, it didn't matter. If the ball boy run the ball out to the ref and did a good job, the horn was getting blew, and that it was loud down there. And I'm just saying, let's just pick and choose our spots with the air horn. That was only one. The rest of them were great timing. But she was really putting in the work with that thing. So maybe just wrangle that, man. But other than that, I had a great time.
I think she had to change the batteries out on that.
Yeah,
that drill.
Definitely a great crowd over there. Okay, let's get to our game of the week. This will be our last one. If you watched up through this point, you saw Coach Palmer on earlier. Great interview with him, and that's a good preview for game of the week, week 8 game of the week. It's Graham 6-0 at Lebanon 7-0. Graham is a 23.5 point favorite according to the Southwest Virginia Sportsbook. Lebanon is off to their best start since 2004. In my opinion, I'm not well versed in Lebanon football history, but I think this is probably one of the biggest games since or in some of those teams. Now, with that being said, Lebanon, according to the paper, I think Coach Palmer said that he remembers that they've won more. But according to the paper, Lebanon is 1-18 all time against Graham. And, as we mentioned in the interview, the only win Lebanon had in this matchup was a 14-7 win for the Pioneers in 1988. And the only touchdown scored by the G-men that day was actually by Coach Palmer for Graham. Now, Graham has quite a bit of athletes. During the interview, I didn't get a chance to mention some of the individuals, but Chris Edwards, I think he's an All-State DB. You got Gabe Lilly, Blake Graham, and, of course, Amari Hill, who's getting a lot of attention in the media. All studs. And then I don't think it was on air, but we talked to Coach Palmer about they have a great defensive lineman in Jazir Williamson that's already getting a lot of D1 looks. So, and he's a sophomore too. So great defense there, great bunch of athletes. Lebanon, they're coming off a win last week against Rural Retreat. Lane Jesse had a big game. He had 136 yards. And Reese, he continues to be great. He's got 4 touchdown passes last week. My pick, I think Lebanon has a chance. Yeah, I think a lot of people probably just write them off because it's Graham, and I get that. Graham's got talent. They've got the history to support that. I think Lebanon, I think everything has to go right. I think they have to be on it, and Reese has to have time to throw. I think they could make it close for a little bit, but I still got Graham winning, maybe pulling away, or maybe even getting a lead, and maybe Lebanon trying to catch up towards the end. I got Graham winning 32-22, but I'm really excited to watch the matchup between Baker and Edwards if they get matched up 1-on-1.
What did Southwest Sportsbook do this one?
Yeah, I said 23.5 point favorites is what Graham is, and
23.5.
Yeah, that's the line. Now I will say, even though I picked Graham, I think Lebanon will be a lot better going forward after playing in this game. I think this will help them, even if they lose. I think it'll help them confidence-wise against Virginia High and Tazewell and the latter part of their schedule.
This is a tough one because I would love to say that Lebanon is going to keep this close. But, the thing, and I've talked to a couple people and just kind of listened to some others talk about Graham. The thing that is so impressive about Graham is I think like how adaptable they are to everybody. Because you talked about Union playing, how, Keith Chandler in the Ridgeview game, you said Bobby said that he was just ping-ponging off people, just pinballing, running people over. Graham can line up with you and be physical, but they've also got the athletes to spread out with you and keep people under control. I know Lebanon's playing well. I just can't pick. Number one, I can't pick against Graham until somebody unseats them. And I honestly think the only team that has a chance to unseat them is Union. If I had to put a score on this one, I'm going to go Graham. I'm going to go 42-14. And I'm not. That's no disrespect to Lebanon. I do think they have a great football team. That is just all the respect to Graham. And I think with the hype that this game comes with, Lebanon players have not been in this situation before. Are they playing at Graham or at Lebanon?
It's at Lebanon.
At Lebanon?
Yeah.
I mean, they've played in some big games, but not one like this. And, I do agree that I think they will be better moving forward. And maybe, if I have to eat my words after this one, I would be happy to do that. So I hope, that they use it for some motivation. I think, like you said, I think Lebanon, I'm not going to say Lebanon doesn't have a chance, but when you're playing a team like Graham, like you said, I think everything has to go right. And a game this big against a team like Graham, I just don't know that everything's going to go right. I could see, I'm going to say, I said 42-14, but I could see it being, 42-28. I could see something like that. So, like you said, I think Lebanon does have a chance, but it's going to have to be they're going to have to execute. They're going to have to play flawless.
I just keep looking back at some of these games earlier in the year, and for both sides. And I look at Graham's defense against certain teams. No, it's not, obviously not the same style as Lebanon, but still very capable teams. And I look at Graham's defense, and it's about as stingy of a defense as you'll see around here. I mean, them and Union, obviously, but I mean, Graham held Union to like no yards that second half of that game.
The game was 7-6. Is that right?
7-6. Yeah, Graham scored late. Then I look at Lebanon against some of these earlier in the year games, and I look at how teams approached them and played them. I just don't. Lebanon could be getting better and better and better, and it's not like they don't have the athletes at receiver at receiver positions for Reese to hit. Like they're loaded in that department. I just feel like Graham has that same speed on defense. And from what I remember, none of Lebanon's receivers are tall that I remember. Like, they have anybody over 6 foot, 6'1" at the most, probably.
Yeah, I mean, there might be some right along, near that line, but I don't think you have anybody
so, like, you're probably not going up and getting a jump ball over anybody from Graham. You know what I mean? It's not like, I just look for where they're going to find a matchup. And now I'm not seeing Graham guard a team that passes the ball like Lebanon, so I don't know. I do know up front, Graham is as physical and as, like Coach Palmer said, what they do on the teams. Well, that's what they do, and I don't see Lebanon holding up. If they can complete some 5-yard outs, some short routes, and get the ball out quick, and get Graham on their heels, I can see them having success. But they're not. I don't think you're going to be able to rely on dropping back and holding it for 3 seconds before you get rid of it. I think the pressure Graham's going to put on Reese is going to be a problem. But I would not be surprised in the least if Lebanon puts a good game plan together and comes out and is right in this game. I do think Lebanon will have a hard time stopping Graham in the running game. I see that being an issue. If Lebanon wants to win this game, they're going to have to score points, and it just doesn't seem like Graham gives up points. So I don't know. I keep telling myself that if they can do this or do that, I think they have a chance. But kind of like Mark said, until somebody does it, I'm not going to pick against them. So I'm going to take Graham. I do think it'll be a lot closer than maybe what you all were thinking. I do think they'll move the ball. I just don't know if they'll be able to hit those deep down like a run plays, like where it's huge downfield chunks. And with that being said, I think they'll have to be limited to shorter passes, which I think eventually Graham will stop them and stall some drives out. I'm not sure what the score will be. I don't think it'll be a shutout. I think Lebanon will get on the board at some point and possibly even twice. I could see it being a 2 or 3 touchdown game, but I could also see it being real close. I don't know. I'm very excited to watch it. I know that. This is a big step up for Lebanon as far as what they've played all year. And that place is going to be absolutely electric.
Yeah,
that's a small kind of stadium. It's not huge. Everything kind of sits right there. The school blocks the sound on one side, the trees on the other side blocks the sound. Like it's everything's right on top of that bowl. So it is absolutely going to be loud. It's going to be a great environment, and I can't wait. But I'm gonna pick Graham.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say something I didn't mention. I think, and you've mentioned it with the pass rush and stuff like that. I think Lane Jesse as a blocker, not a rusher, as a blocker for Lebanon will be very important in this game, just to give Reese just a little bit extra time because he's going to. I think he's going to need it at times. But
that's a good point. Right? You made that there. He's as a freshman,
and he's a big guy too.
Yeah,
so.
he's going to be relied on to probably pick up an extra. Yeah, somebody getting through. That's a great point.
And I think just touching on what Mark said about the atmosphere and Graham's been in a lot of those games. Coach Palmer talked to us about. They kind of thrive in that. Going to somewhere, going to a place and being the enemy, and especially being in a packed out environment like that. I think they thrive in that. So, but yeah, I just want to say, like you said, going to be a crazy atmosphere. I'm going to try to go to it. We'll see what I got going on, but crazy atmosphere. If you hadn't been to Lebanon for the Grand people, bring some walking shoes because the parking situation isn't the best. And I think the last big game, or last 2 or 3 big games we've been to over there, think we've walked quite a bit.
You know,
Yeah, and I wish that. I knew like coming in, I was like, this is a game that I kind of would like to get. I'd probably like to give a score on and be close. And I will just say I have not seen Lebanon play a lot. I did watch, I watched on NFHS the Graham Union game. I've not watched Lebanon play a lot, so I'm not as familiar with them. But it's like I said, it's kind of like I think J Mar's saying too, like it's such a hard game to pick because if Lebanon does get going, if they get some stuff going early, maybe get an early touchdown and get Graham on their heels a little bit, I could see this being a 2-touchdown, 1-touchdown game late, and maybe Graham scores and make it a 2-touchdown game. But if you can't get Graham on their heels defensively, and then you can't stop them off, I just don't know that Graham's going to give the points up.
It's really weird. I know you could probably say this for most games, but particularly for me for this one, I could see this being either one of the best games I've ever watched, and I could just as easily see it an absolute blowout. It's so weird. If just things don't go, if Lebanon ain't able to do just certain things, I can see it getting bad. But if they're able to figure things out and move the ball and do certain things, it could be a great game. I don't know. I can say I just don't have a hard time thinking Graham's defense won't show up and be very prepared for this and throw something at Lebanon if they've not seen before. And being at home in the big game, I almost feel like it may be worse on Lebanon because those guys are going to be so amped up and the ball is going to probably come out with a little more juice in it, for Reese, and he may have a couple overthrows early or something just because it's jumping out of his hands, and that adrenaline dump those guys are going to get, and you can prepare for it all week, but they're going to get it, and at some point, hopefully, they don't just kind of stall out, and all of a sudden, when the game gets going, they're able to sustain a little bit of energy because that's a real thing when you get that too fast, and then all of a sudden it's just gone. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But
and I just don't think Graham will deal with that.
No,
just because I think they've been in those games too much.
They've been in, like you said, earlier this year, going into Bullitt Park with Union, they're going to be something they're used to. I almost think it's been better for Lebanon to be playing at Graham, honestly, to pull an upset. I really do.
Yeah.
That's weird to say, but I think they'd have a better shot there as far as the atmosphere goes because Mitchell Stadium's huge. The bleachers aren't right on top of the field. This is Lebanon's. The bleachers are right down there, right on the sidelines. Just the noise stays in there, so it's going to be like a real hot box of just everything going on for those guys. I can't imagine what that's going to be like for them. But yeah, I'm hoping I get to go to that. Just if nothing else, just to see the pregame atmosphere and everything that goes on with it.
That's going to be the crazy part. And before we end this, I did want to say that hope is a dangerous thing, and a team that believes they can win, like if their confidence is high at Lebanon, that could be a factor. Who would have thought though? But going into the season, nothing against Coach Norris. I think we all thought he'd be a good coach. Who would have thought that they'd be undefeated right now in a matchup against Graham at home with this type of atmosphere? And I think that we thought they'd probably have a winning record going into this, but I don't know that we would have thought that there could even be a possibility that it could be a game. You know what I'm saying? I think kudos to him. That's a great job that he's doing over there, the culture that he's building, and I think they get a lot of these guys back next year. So it's exciting to see. But that's all I got on it. Are y'all good?
Yeah, I was just going to say, Mark, we appreciate you coming on.
Yeah,
I was late,
no problem.
And you got an old mean ogre to go home to.
Oh yeah,
we gotta let you get out of here.
Yeah,
we don't want to make her be on her bad side. We both know how that goes. So.
Yeah, she's ran them around today. We've just started youth league. So, we've had I'm coaching both of their teams, so we've been getting after it.
Yeah. Well, we're definitely going to have you back on, especially when basketball season comes around. And that's going to be a very exciting time for you guys, for us watching. We have a lot of plans going forward on that. But yeah, thank you for coming on. And
I enjoy it. Thank you all for having me.
Send us pictures of the them girls getting the rings, and we'll definitely share. I'm sure that there'll be Facebook posts made, but sure you get us a couple good pictures. We'll throw them up for you.
Oh yeah, that's happening soon. So I think we're all excited to get them.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, talk to the powers to be at Eastside. I've never been to Eastside, and maybe y'all should be able to host a playoff game. Me and Jamar need to get out there and try to get.
I will say this, like y'all were talking about, the press box and stuff. As far as press boxes go and places to watch a game, Eastside has one of the best setups. So I assure you, there's a spot in the press box for you.
I definitely had Eastside circled as a game because that's one of the few places I've not got to watch a game there yet. So I had it on the schedule this year to try to get to a game there. So whether it be a playoff game or one of these next few weeks, I definitely want to try to get out there for sure. So
listen, we don't have to have a super high class treatment. We just need to get Jamar a hot dog.
I just want a hot dog
at some place.
all I want.
Some place
we can make that happen. We can make that happen.
I just want to go in. I just want a hot dog. Yeah. That's all.
Right through the door.
We can do that. Hey, we can do that.
Heck yeah!
I could be such a good endorsement for these places, concessions, if they would just let me, give me some samples, and I'd say good things for them.
So what we need to do, we need to, instead of like going to restaurants and judging, restaurants, we should do concession stands at the football games.
All right.
Top 5 concession stands of Southwest Virginia.
I'm absolutely going to do a review next year of concession stands every time we go to a game. I'll make sure I take extra cash, and I'll get a little bit of everything. Everything they have, I'll get a little bit of all of it.
Especially if they have a signature thing like Rye Cove had the Eagles nest. We got to kind of highlight that.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we can sit here and ramble all night, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on, and I guess till next time.
Y'all have a good one. Appreciate it.
All right, y'all too.